If you enjoy farm podcasts, then tune into Carrot Cash Flow for all things farm business. Join us as we explore the latest trends, tips, and stories from market farmers running businesses just like yours. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe to Carrot Cash Flow today.
I've been talking about maintaining and harvesting crops in the wintertime, but what about planting? Well, this can work depending on where you are and what you want to plant, and I can do some of that here in North Carolina, but will depend a lot on where you are. In terms of direct seeding, I have direct seeded crops in the middle of the wintertime here and had success, but it really depends a lot on a couple things. One of which is you pick the right crops to plant. I planted a bunch of beds of carrots in the middle of the wintertime here. I had mixed results with germination and they took forever. Carrots take a long time to germinate anyways. But I had really good luck last year planting things like baby kale and other brassicas like arugula, also spinach. You know, those kinds of things do really well because they can germinate a little bit cooler and they germinate very quickly. So what I recommend if you are direct seeding is take a look at the soil temperature and keep an eye on the weather. So if I see that I have a streak of warm days coming up at some point, that's when I'll plant at the beginning of that. You really want to give them the best chance to germinate in terms of the temperature. So if it's really cold out, I wouldn't really worry. I wouldn't really try to do some direct seeding. And the same thing goes for transplanting. Look for those warmer days. You don't want to put out a brand new seedling if it's super cold outside. It's going to be even more struggling if it's cold out. So in addition to the temperature, keep in mind with the moisture, I really like to use hand watering with newly planted beds, especially direct seeded beds. I will just literally go and check them either once or twice a day, check on the moisture level and hand water them as needed. And that way you'll get the best results with direct seeding and also having results with transplanting. As I said, I'll get into direct seeding and transplanting in more detail in later modules. So as I was saying, you're gonna need water on your farm from time to time during the winter, and how you manage your water lines is super important because water freezes in the wintertime. And if you don't have a strategy for managing that, you're gonna run into a lot of problems with things freezing and then breaking either valves or lines or timers or all those sorts of things and create leaks and all sorts of headaches. So have a strategy to help manage that. The best thing you can do is bury your water lines deep enough, and that will depend on where you are, how deep you have to put them, and put in frost-free hydrants everywhere. I did not take that strategy because I didn't want to invest the time and money while we were building. So this is what I did. It's not as ideal as putting in burying your lines and the frost-free hydrants, but this is my main header that runs through my farm, and this is what all the irrigation ties into for the tunnels and some other stuff. And at the end of the line, I have a ball valve here, just a simple ball valve. So on nights I know it's gonna go below freezing. In the afternoon when I'm out here closing up my tunnels, what I'll do is I'll close off the water at the house and I'll open up the ball valves there at the end here, and also at the other end I have another one down there. And the other thing with this system is that I have another valve on a T close to the house, which allows air to come in. So close the water off of the house, open up these at the end, and open up that valve to let the air come in, and it drains out the whole system. It only takes me a couple of minutes to open and close all these valves, so it's just part of my process for when when it's going to be cold or when I need water. So if I don't need water for a while, I'll just leave everything open. But make sure that you're either draining your lines and you have a game plan for that. I really don't recommend if you have to unscrew things all the time, like figure out ways to put in valves and drain things. You'll save so much time and frustration and just less things to go wrong. I really like that. The other thing with water management is your wash station. So make sure you have a place to wash your vegetables in the wintertime. And there's a few things you want to think about. If it's super cold out, you're not going to have water because either you're going to have to turn it off because it's frozen or it is frozen, those sorts of things. So have an area where you can have water. And also keep in mind, if you are growing in the wintertime and harvesting and washing, it's really tough on whoever's doing the work if you're doing wet work outside in the cold. So having an area that's out of the weather and maybe even heated will be a huge advantage for yourself or for whoever's working for you in terms of winter growing.
Hello, growers. Protect your crops from harmful insects with Modern Growers Insectanet. This top-tier insect netting made by Modern Grower shields your plants from pests and harsh weather, boosting your yields without harmful sprays. Insectanet's unique design allows 90% of the light to pass through and is easy to use with low tunnel systems like our quick hoops. It's soft, elastic, and durable, perfect for field use to help ensure that your crops thrive. Say goodbye to pest damage and hello to healthier, market-ready produce. Invest in Insectinet and see the difference it makes. Get Insectinet at shop.moderngrower.co or using the link below.